Casino Royale, the best James Bond film? Behind the scenes, meaning, and facts. Since the 1960s, 27 James Bond films have hit the big screen. Over almost 60 years, Bond has ventured through jungles and Siberia, islands, underwater, and even outer space. Among these adventures, some films were hits, others misses. But if we put nostalgia aside and look at the franchise from a cinematic perspective, a lot of people would say the 2006 Casino Royale is the best Bond film. Why? Let's take a look. A new Bond for a new era. Casino Royale wasn't just the 21st Bond movie. It was the first full reboot in franchise history. For the first time, audiences saw 007 at the start of his career before he became the cold-blooded spy we know. Based on Ian Fleming's very first novel from 1953, the story was adapted to a modern tone and pace. The decision to show Bond as vulnerable, harsh, and flawed became the film's foundation. During Pierce Brosnan's time as Bond, the series was going through a creative crisis. The world had changed. The old Bond idea of an ironic super agent who defeats villains with gadgets and charisma reflected the spirit of the times. The emergence of Jack Bauer, Jason Bourne, and coupled with the popularity of gritty thrillers, led producers to rebooting the character. Casino Royale was to Bond what Batman Begins was to The Dark Knight. A return to roots and a dramatic reinvention. The casting broke tradition. Daniel Craig wasn't a classic gentleman in a tuxedo. He was cold, focused, and almost soldier-like, and he perfectly matched the dark and realistic atmosphere of the film. Plot and structure. This isn't just another mission. It's an origin story showing how Bond became the man we know. The entire film is his journey to maturity, gaining 007 status, making mistakes, paying for them with pain and loss, and becoming hardened. Breaking tradition. The signature theme music and the classic line Bond, James Bond, are held back until the very end, a symbol of transformation complete. The film also offers a deeper look into espionage, portraying it not as glamorous, but as a harsh, morally complex job. For the first time, we see the price Bond pays for his lifestyle, loneliness, physical pain, psychological trauma. Visual style. Director Martin Campbell returned to the franchise after GoldenEye, becoming the first filmmaker to launch 2 different Bonds. His style leaned away from glossy imagery, opting instead for realism and grit. The opening chase scene in Madagascar, especially the parkour sequence on the construction site, became legendary. It was choreographed by Sebastian Foucan, one of the creators of parkour, adding authenticity and adrenaline. Campbell and cinematographer Phil Meheu crafted a visually compelling film. The camera doesn't just show action, it reflects the character's inner states. Sequences, handheld camera work, and color symbolism make Casino Royale visually unique. Take the poker scenes. Built like a suspense thriller, tension is conveyed through glances, silences, color schemes, and framing, not just words. Editing and music also work hand in hand. Chris Cornell's You Know My Name isn't just a theme song, it's part of the narrative. Characters and performances. Daniel Craig was the first blonde actor to play Bond, sparking backlash from fans even before the release. Yet his performance earned praise from all previous Bonds: Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, and even Pierce Brosnan, who called him the best 007. Craig's Bond isn't a flawless hero. He's stubborn, wounded, and at times brutal. He makes mistakes, suffers both physically and emotionally, and that makes him human. Vesper Lyne, Eva Green, is one of the franchise's strongest heroines. She's not just eye candy, but a fully realized character with motivation, flaws, and strength. Her impact on Bond defines his transformation. Their relationship isn't just romantic, it's the emotional core of the film. Viewers believe in their love, which makes the ending all the more powerful. Le Chiffre, Mads Mikkelsen, is one of the most grounded villains in the series. He doesn't want to destroy the world. He's simply terrified of the people he owes money to. His arrogance and vulnerability make him a compelling antagonist. What sets these characters apart is their realism and lifelike. They err, suffer, and make morally gray decisions. That's what separates Casino Royale from previous films, where characters often felt cartoonish. Themes and meaning. A special mention goes to the shower scene, where Vesper, still wearing her iconic black Versace dress, breaks down. At Eva Green's request, the scene was kept as is, emphasizing her emotional vulnerability. There are almost no gadgets. There's no cue, no money penny, and the Bond theme only plays at the end. This was deliberate, to present 007 not as a superhero, but a man. Casino Royale isn't just a spy action film. It's about pain, trust, betrayal, and growing up. It dismantles the myth of Bond's invincibility. Here, he cries, suffers, resigns, and loses the love of his life. The film poses the question, can Bond exist in a realistic world? He becomes vulnerable, physically, emotionally, and morally. We're no longer watching a myth, we're watching a man. The torture scene with Le Chiffre shatters the unbreakable Bond image, showing a man in agony. But it's this suffering that shapes him. He accepts his mortality and his duty. Legacy. The film was a massive success, grossing $606 million globally on a $150 million budget. Even though over 250,000 pirated copies were downloaded during its first US weekend, that didn't dent its box office run. Poker scenes were filmed at Barrandov Studios in Prague and required a meticulous approach. Actors described them as filming a mini-movie within the movie. That's how carefully the tension was built. Bond's fashion became a trend. Suits tailored by Brioni, shirts from Turnbull and Asser, watches by Omega, and La Perla swimwear all became pop culture talking points. Casino Royale set a high bar. Quantum of Solace tried to continue the story, but it was different from the first film. Skyfall reclaimed some momentum with stylized flair, but none of the sequels matched Casino Royale's emotional and cinematic power. Perhaps except for the final Craig film, in which viewers follow a familiar Bond and empathize him. But that's another story. Like this video and drop a comment if you want us to cover that next. Even years later, Casino Royale's influence is undeniable. Its tone, approach to characterization, and visual storytelling became a standard for future spy films. And Daniel Craig forever redefined Bond for a new generation. The final scene encapsulates Bond's transformation. He walks up to Mr. White, shoots him in the leg, and as the man asks in shock, "Who are you?" we hear it, the name's Bond. James Bond. It's not just a line, it's a legend being born. After betrayal, pain, and loss, Bond is no longer a rookie. He is 007. Martin Campbell's film isn't just the best Bond movie. It's one of the greatest spy thrillers of the 21st century. Casino Royale is a dramatic reboot, a visual powerhouse, an emotional journey, and a character-driven masterpiece. This is where Bond truly becomes Bond.